Isn't that not true?
No.
Doctor, it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Hey, we got there!
Hello my lovelies, today I'm going to be hooking myself up to the telepathic matrix of the TARDIS and we are going to be ascending through time and space to find exactly what happened to Doctor Who. How did it go from being one of the absolute greatest television series of all time to being sort of just meh? I mean, it's a tragedy. Personally, I think Doctor Who is one of the best shows out there. I really do. And this video will be mainly just about the reboot, the revival. I will be making points here and there about the earlier series, but it's mainly going to be about the reboot. I'm going to be looking at what made it so good, and from that we'll work out how it ended up being so meh.
Spoilers, right?
Time to plug myself in, guys, into the telepathic matrix. Ooh, feels a bit weird. What happens if I get distracted?
Now, don't get distracted.
Oops. Sorry, Doctor. I think I got distracted by some kittens. You know me. Do love a good cat. Just hang on in there, you know? Like the posters with the cats. Oh, crap. I thought about cats again. So, let's get started. Thank you very much for joining me, by the way. If you enjoyed today's video, please do leave it a like and subscribe if you want to help support me and my channel. That's if I don't get blinded by this thing out there, the big glowy thing. What's it called? I can't remember. So, first of all, there's this interesting formula that really makes Doctor Who what it is. There are 3 connected points in the triangle of Who greatness, and at the top we have the element of fun, the element of excitement, of adventure.
I'm the Doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
And this is being propped up by 2 elements. First, we have tragedy, tragic loss, grief, and pain. And on the other side, we have heartwarming joy, you know, happiness.
Everybody lives, Rose. Just this once. Everybody lives!
And these 3 points aren't often seen in shows. You don't often get a show that is as funny as it is tragic and disturbing. So Doctor Who really, I don't know, it went in a great direction, and from having all these elements, it became such a household thing. It became such an enjoyed thing by the whole family. Now, let's talk about each of the Doctors. First, we have Christopher Eccleston. This is a Doctor that was born in fire and blood. This is an angry, angry person that still can't quite deal with his past, of the tragic thing he had to do to save his people and get rid of the Daleks once and for all. Such a brilliant start for the character, with both the Doctor, played by Christopher Eccleston, and Rose Tyler, played by Billie Piper. These are the perfect choices for the first Doctor and the first companion.
Yeah, but Doctor what?
Just the Doctor.
The Doctor.
Hello. The only reason it fixed on you is because you've met me.
So what you're saying is the entire world revolves around you?
Sort of, yeah.
He was one of the most angry of the Doctors. He was unable to deal with what he had done in the Time War, with the destruction of his people and the Daleks. He hadn't quite dealt with that, so by meeting Rose, it really helped him to calm down a bit. But there are moments where you see the rage of the Time Lord in there. We have a scene in the very second episode, The End of the World, where the Earth is destroyed by the sun once and for all, and we meet the last human. This is literally a human that has just been tweaked and nipped and tucked, as Rose would say, until there's just nothing left.
It's better to die than live like you, a bitchy trampoline.
Now, in this episode, she was the sneaky villain behind it all, and was doing it solely for money, quite a devious person. And in the end, the Doctor just let her burn, because the sun was heating up so much. But he says something so troubling as he watches her literally dying in front of his eyes. Very cold-blooded.
Everything has its time and everything dies.
Then, a few episodes later, we have the first of the Dalek episodes, just titled Dalek, and this is where the Doctor ends up in a museum full of some of his old enemies. There's a Cyberman head, there's a Slovene claw, and we find out that this rich as hell guy is collecting all of these things, and he's found himself a Dalek that's still alive, and won't talk to anyone but the Doctor.
The entire Dalek race wiped out in 1 second.
I watched it happen.
I made it happen!
When the Doctor is put in a room alone with the Dalek, the people that were running this museum were already trying to get information out of it, but it just wouldn't talk. However, it would talk to the Doctor, but the Doctor goes a little bit crazy and over the top and just tortures it until the others have to intervene and stop it.
Exterminate.
So this is an angry Doctor, a Doctor filled with fire and rage, and I like the character like that. It's a complex character, and he's still having trouble dealing with his past, and I think that's brilliant. And this is a great way of portraying the character. You never really know whether he's a good man or not.
Tell me, am I a good man?
It's always uncertain. He's very arrogant. He very much up himself, but sometimes he goes a little bit too far. Now, we have David Tennant. In my opinion, I think David Tennant was the best out of all of them. He definitely had the widest range of emotions when he was acting.
Travelling alone. I thought it was better, but I did some things. It went wrong.
Could have such fun, quirky moments, but then, he can really show his emotions at other points. Now, David Tennant's Doctor was arrogant, holier than thou, just rude and selfish at points. He was a very, very angry and aggressive person.
And I'm not listening! Now you, Mr. Conley, you are staring into a deep, dark pit of trouble if you don't let me help.
And I loved him. I thought he was brilliant. He was just a ball of flames at certain points. Brilliant. Now, this Doctor was moving on from the Time War and is really just trying to cope with what he had done. Still, though, you have moments like in The Runaway Bride, where we're first introduced to Catherine Tate's character of Donna Noble. And in this episode, there are these spider creatures living in a pit underground, and they are trying to come back out, but the Doctor, it just floods the place, drowns all of these young children. It's kind of disturbing. Donna literally has to stop him in that moment, or I don't think he would have done.
Doctor! You can stop now!
Now, David Tennant as the Doctor, he really pushed the boat out when it came to being almost borderline evil. Particular episode titled The Waters of Mars. A lot of you will probably understand exactly the moment I'm talking about. In this episode, he decides to save these colonists on Mars when really he shouldn't have done. Their deaths led to the advance in space travel. That was the influence for Adelaide Brooks' daughter. But the Doctor decided that I'm the last Time Lord. Who cares about the rules? I'm going to save them anyway.
Adelaide, I've done this sort of thing before. In small ways, save some little people.
But he does it in an evil way, not in a good way at all. He's just basically saying that I'm the most powerful person in existence and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
For a long time now, I thought I was just a survivor, but I'm not. I'm the winner. The Time Lord victorious.
And this moment will always give me shivers. It's tingly, it's dark and evil, and I love it. Now, this is where the companions can be a balance for the Doctor, to stop him going too far at points. Because every time the Doctor loses his companion in the show, he always ends up doing something over the top, or stupid, or violent, or reckless. So you can really see how the companion balances him out as a character. Moving on, we now have Matt Smith. Matt Smith was brilliant at playing the Doctor. My God, so fantastic, such joy watching him. He was a very quirky, bizarre character, but he played it to a T. Absolutely brilliant.
All I can think about, apples. I love apples. Maybe I'm having a craving.
This Doctor was a lot more charming, a lot more caring, a very loving person to those close to him, but still there is this darkness inside him. There is this rage. And you see that in moments like in The Time of the Angels. He lashes out at River Song, making her literally flinch.
It's never gonna work.
What else have you got? River, tell me!
Then we have an episode towards the end of Matt Smith's character arc. We see the War Doctor, played by a gruff John Hurt, doing a brilliant version. And he's titled the War Doctor because this is the Doctor that was in the Time War, who had to destroy his people and the Daleks to end it all. And in this episode, it's really interesting because you see each point in the Doctor's, grief. You have David Tennant, who's still able to count every one of the dead.
2.47 billion.
You did count.
You have Matt Smith, who just wants to forget it and move on.
You never once counted.
Tell me, what would be the point?
And you have the War Doctor, who is in the process of setting off this giant bomb. Now, following from Matt Smith, we have Peter Capaldi. I adored his performance.
How much blood will spill until everybody does what they were always going to have to do from the very beginning? Sit down and talk!
They clearly saw him performing in the thick of it and chose him because he ends up being, rude, arrogant, selfish, manipulative. He's borderline psychotic at points. There's the moment where they descend into this Dalek to try and find out why it's turned good. They realise in the end it's just a fault with the system. It was, he was never good. He was just broken. So they fix him and suddenly he starts powering up and they might all die. But there's a sliver of happiness in the Doctor. He's actually pleased, even though they're all going to die, that he was right and they were wrong.
It's the look you get when I'm about to slap you! Oh. We're going to die in here. And there's a little bit of you that's pleased.
Daleks can never be good. And I love it. I think it's brilliant. I think they might have gone a bit too far in season 8. They stop him. He becomes a person that doesn't like hugging. He really isn't caring at all in season 8. With Danny Pink, he's always just angry at him, always throwing harsh comments at him.
Egomaniac, needy game player.
Sorry, it was only one out of place. I'm sure that you would want it killed.
Ooh, you're trying to tell me something.
And I think they went a bit far with that because in season 9 he softens down a bit, which is fine. They should do that. He shouldn't just be this ball of hatred. Now, I'm not saying I want the Doctor to be evil, but what I am saying is I want the Doctor to be complex. I want him to be a complex character. Now, with Jodie Whittaker, her performance is fantastic, and it's not just that she's female, it's that she's a totally different person. There is no thinking back into the past, there's no dealing with that grief, there's no rage of the Time Lord, there's none of the arrogance. She's just like, a good person. She's less of a bizarre superhero and more of a investigative detective, which I think is fine, but it's a bit of a leap to go from all these different qualities to having very few of them. Now, the companions. There was always something special about the companions, and I quite liked that. We have Billie Piper, who plays Rose, and we have the whole bad wolf of it all.
I am the bad wolf. I create myself.
Billie Piper is a brilliant young actress. She is absolutely fantastic and she is so good at playing the companion. She also has this brilliant range of emotions, and it all comes to a crescendo at the end of season 2 when sadly she is lost to the world. She did a great job. She was very able to show emotions, to show grief and sadness.
I'm sorry. I really am.
And everyone that likes Doctor Who knows how much of a tearjerker those final moments are in season 2. Now, as a person, she is wonderfully intuitive. As the Doctor says, he never knows why, he only knows who, or whatever he says about the people he takes away with him in the TARDIS.
I never know why. I only know who.
We have Amy and Rory. Rory, you just think he's a bit of a buffoon at first, but he grows into this brilliant character, the lone centurion that waited 2,000 years just to protect the person that he loved.
Look me in the eye and tell me she wouldn't be safe.
Answer me!
We have Amy, this wonderful, joyous character. We have the young version of her and the older version, the girl who waited.
I'm Amelia,
and you're late.
What happened?
12 years.
You hit me with a cricket bat.
12 years.
A cricket bat.
12 years and 4 psychiatrists.
Now, she was mysterious. We never really knew who else she lived with. She always seemed to be alone, and there were these cracks in time that were following her. Then we have Clara. Clara, I didn't like at first because of all the reasons I now like her. She's a control freak. She's way too similar to the Doctor. She goes as far as betraying him, throwing every TARDIS key into a volcano.
I have your attention.
Yes.
Good.
Not good, Clara.
And I like those moments. They're powerful moments. She is a bit of a darker character. She lies a lot, and that's now the reasons why I like her. It's because she's not a simple character. She's not just good, you know. And the Doctor even said that she was too much like him. Now, the new companions. How is it that Bradley Walsh is the most compelling character out of all three of them? What the hell's going on there? The thing is, we have the companions, but then we have all the characters around these companions. With Rose Tyler, we had her mum and dad. The dad was a bit of a weird one because he wasn't alive in one universe. And we had Mickey, Ricky the Idiot. And these are all brilliant characters on their own. They're interesting and they're real. You can see them as being real people. But with these three, Yaz is like... she's Yaz, I guess. There is this interesting thing I learnt from Red Letter Media, where they were describing the characters in Star Wars without saying what they looked like or what their occupation was. So if I was to do that for Yaz, she's like... I can't say she's a policewoman, because, you know, she has a family. And I don't know the other guy's name. How bad is that? I've seen... Oh my god, I can't actually think what his name is. This is what it's like now. This is how it is. This is ridiculous. Ryan, that's it. Ryan, Graham, and Yaz. I like Graham because he's unique. He's very different. He's a very different companion. But no, there shouldn't be 3 companions that are always being used. With Rose Tyler, you had her and you had Mickey in a few episodes, but usually it was just the Doctor and one companion. But having 3 that are consistently there, you can't have... It's ridiculous to think that you can have... grow these characters and have all these character arcs and all this character development when there are so many characters. It's just not going to work. It was a bad idea. I think they should have just had Yaz, maybe. Out of those 3, she would have been sort of the best on their own. Graham's sort of only makes sense with Ryan along as well. And hopefully there will be more arcs with them, but I don't know. So, the companions, bit of a problem. The Doctor herself, although the performance is fine, there's not enough complexities to the character. Now, another great thing that I liked are these, you have a sort of, it's more procedural, each episode is different, but there are these arcs going on in the background. With Series 5, for example, you have the cracks in time following along, and it always feels like it's building to something massive at the final episodes, and that is what I love about Doctor Who. With the first season, you have the whole bad wolf thing, and that goes into Series 2 as well. With Series 6, you have River Song finding out exactly who she is, the woman that killed the Doctor. And then later on, you have the Confession Dial, you have Missy in... It Locked Away. She has such brilliant arcs towards the end. So you have these character arcs, you have these arcs going on in the background, the cracks in the wall, the bad wolf, having Missy locked up. And Missy is a brilliant character, by the way, or maybe even better than what's-his-face playing the Master in the earlier series.
Between us and him is everything the deadliest race in all of history can throw at us. We, on the other hand, have a pointy stick.
She was fantastic and had such a range of feelings towards the end. She became good, and it was such a wonderful moment seeing her change like that. So what happened? Why did these, big story arcs just disappear? Why did they stop doing that? I don't get it. And the worst thing is that they shove all these political themes into the show. Like, why? This is Doctor Who. What are you doing? They did a Rosa Parks episode.
Young boy,
He'll be swinging from a tree with the noose for a neckerchief. If he touches a white woman in Montgomery.
Is there a problem here, Mr. Steele?
Where, you know, it's the sitting on the bus, the moment where she doesn't want to stand up, and they just shove an alien in there, just for the hell of it. They have an episode about the divide between Pakistan and India, and they just shove some demons in there.
There's nothing holy about a man who would approve your union.
It's like, what are you doing? This totally devalues what was actually happening in history by shoving a few monsters in there. It makes it cheap. And you also have the Witchfinder episode. I actually really like that episode. It's bleak and it's dark and terrifying for women to live in that time. Anything you say will make it seem like you're a witch.
I have seen you, with your wand, raising your kin from the dead.
Yes.
What? No, hold on a sec.
And I didn't quite mind that one having monsters in it because, you know, it wasn't too much of a cheap idea. I like that episode. But it's just, you know, it's not Doctor Who. What were they thinking by doing this? And Chris Chibnall, which is the writer for Series 11, he wrote some of the best episodes. 42, the one where they're falling into the sun. Burn with me. That episode I thought was pretty great. So why did they want to change it so much? I don't understand. Now, the music is another thing that I think is so important. In the earlier series, it's very orchestral. You have these choir moments. Some brilliant music in season 4. You have the Ood singing their songs, singing their prison songs.
Take it away.
And singing their songs of happiness when they were released. You have the exciting, powerful music when, you know, brilliant things are happening, when the Doctor's going off on one, taking down the enemy. It's brilliant. The music can be mystical, it can be sad.
I was dead. I was dead and gone. Why? Why would you even do that to yourself?
It can be happy, exciting, it can be slow and somber. And you smile, you beam with happiness as you're watching the Doctor save the day. It's lovely, but there is such a range with the music, which I really like. In season 11, the music is fantastic. It's really good, but it's not Doctor Who. It's so different. Why did they change it so much? I don't understand why they decided to go for something so different. It's a lot more like ambient electronic stuff as opposed to the powerful orchestral stuff. It's just a very different series. Why did they change it so much? Some of the episodes I feel, this is proper Doctor Who, but most of the time it's like you're watching something totally different. You have all the brilliant theme tunes like the Cyberman theme, bom 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 bom. Now, when I'm talking about my favourites, I would say with the Doctors it would be David Tennant, Matt Smith, then Christopher Eccleston and Peter Capaldi are pretty equally matched. They're both pretty angry Doctors, but I might prefer Peter Capaldi. I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with me on that, but I really thought he was fantastic. And when it comes to the series, season 4 was probably my favourite, with Donna Noble and her brilliant arc, the Dr. Donna. And then it'd probably be season 3. But the problem with that series, there are brilliant episodes, but Martha Jones, although I like her as a character, the point of her character is that she fancies the Doctor. But it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't change. Her feelings in episode 1 don't change by the end of her arc. Nothing changes. Well, it's not even an arc at that point. It's just that she fancies the Doctor. He sees right through her because all he thinks about is Rose, and that's just it. So why did they give up on the romance side of things? Like, the Doctor clearly loved Rose, and it was nice to see his clone going off with her in the end. But, you know, all of the companions seemed to be attracted to the Doctor, except for Donna, who was just his friend. And I liked that. There was none of this, will they, won't they? It was just, you know, they're just good friends. Clara fancied the Doctor as well. Amy fancied him at points. And I get it, but still, I don't know. I don't know why they gave up on the romance. You have romance on the outside. You have Danny Pink and Clara, and you know, Amy and Rory. Love Amy and Rory. It's so brilliant. But yeah, so I don't think there's going to be any romance plot with these new companions. It's just too many companions. Why do they change everything? I don't understand. Anyway, that's the only other thing are the special effects. Now, the special effects are better than they ever have been in season 11, but it's just not the same. You don't have that B-movie quality to it. The effects and the costumes and everything were goofy at times, sometimes just plain bad, often brilliant, like the Ood. The makeup with the Ood is really, really good. I like it a lot. But there was lots of bad CGI, and it gave the series character. I know that was always going to change, and I don't want to stop that, changing it. It's just trying to be much more mature and grown up, but that saps a lot of the life out of it. The jokes aren't nearly as quick. They're not really Doctor Who-ish jokes. There are no jokes about weird planets he goes to where it's just a planet made of shrubberies or everyone has really long necks or something. There aren't any of those jokes anymore.
You think they're all idiots, don't you?
What, you mean the rest of the universe? Basically, yes, I do.
And because the companions are so dull, except for Graham, he's the actual funny one, it's just... it's a hollow series, you know. It feels like all the brilliant things have been sapped out. It's not like one thing you can blame it all on. It's just everything is a little bit worse. So, those are my opinions on Doctor Who and what changed it so much. I might talk about season 12 in another video. I was mainly talking about season 11 there, and obviously the earlier ones. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed, please do leave it a like and subscribe if you want to help support me and my channel. I know I've been away for a long time now. My life is a pit of despair at the minute, but I just needed to get a video out, and I know it's not on Onision or anything, but I'm kind of sick of talking about him. I spent quite a while working on this video, and it still ended up being a total mess of me just rambling nonsense. But if you'd like to comment and make me feel better about it, I would appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you in the next one. Take care now.